Focus on her recovery. He won a full term in office last month. Congressman Barber is with us this morning. It's nice to talk to you, sir. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on.
It's my pleasure. What was it like to hear about this tragedy? It's not even been 2 years since the shooting that injured you and injured Gabby Giffords. I mean, does it just take you back to that day, to almost 2 years ago?
Yes, it did, and it did for my whole family, particularly my grandchildren, who were affected then, and I think even more profoundly affected this time, knowing that children their age were killed in Newtown. And I just want to say that the community of Tucson is just heartsick over what happened in Newtown. We gathered together on Sunday night in a candlelight vigil to pray for and to send our best wishes to the people of Newtown. Our hearts are broken as they were back in January 8th of 2011, and we want them to know that we're with them and we understand, probably better than most communities, what they're going through.
Unfortunately and sadly, that is probably true. The president has now asked his cabinet to come up with some ideas about how they can change gun laws. I know that you're a Second Amendment supporter. Are you also a gun owner? What kind of laws would you draft if given the opportunity?
Well, I am a supporter of the Second Amendment. I believe it's one of those rights that we have to protect. But I believe it's time for us to move in a different direction with regard to assault weapons, extended clips, magazines that have incredible firepower. The young man that shot those of us in Tucson last year was carrying clips that had 30 rounds in them. And in a matter of almost 5 seconds, he was able to unload all of those bullets and shot 19 people, 6 of whom died. I don't believe we can continue to have those kinds of weapons available, and especially in the hands of someone who is mentally ill, as he was, and it seems like all the other shooters in the last couple of years have had a diagnosis of serious mental illness. I just want to say, though, that I know from my experience working in the field of mental health for 32 years that very few people with mental illness are violent people. But some are, especially if they're not treated. So we have to do both. We have to go after the weapon power, the firepower, and we also have to make sure that we have better services for people with mental illness and supporting their families.
Well, is going to the assault weapons far enough? I mean, if you, or, you know, should you be focusing when it comes to gun legislation and gun control? Should it be on the 30-round clips? Should it be the assault weapons? If you look at the overall gun violence, something like 80% is actually caused by handguns or attributed to handgun violence. So, you know, is that leaving out a major portion in the debate? What's a legislation that could actually make change that would affect a lot of people?
I think, first of all, we have to be realistic about what possibly can be done. I've heard over the last few days some people who are heavily supported by the NRA who have come out saying, finally, we have to do something, and we're going to be looking at legislation regarding assault weapons, military-style weapons, and extended clips that will, as I say, have lots of bullets in them that can really do serious harm in a very short period of time. You know, a handgun is something else, but I think I'm after a legislation. I want to see legislation enacted that takes away the availability of these kinds of weapons that can do so much harm in such a short period of time. You know, in 10 minutes, the shooting in Connecticut was completed and 26 people died, including 20 little ones. For me, as a member of Congress, as a person who has been through a shooting tragedy where this extended clip issue was present, and as a grandfather, I have to stand up and be counted on this. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that we limit the firepower and that we get services to people with mental illness. We have to do both.
Those two things are both giant, and I think everyone would say the mental health part of it is completely underfunded. Is it possible to make change and discuss those things together, right? Because often I think gun advocates will say, well, you know, it's people who have mental problems we really should be focusing on. And I think there are others who say, listen, it's really the weapons on the street we should be focusing on. Is there a way to talk about both of them at the same time and make tangible change?
I think we have no choice. When we look at the shootings, mass shootings over the last 2 years since January 8th, there's two aspects of those shootings that they all have in common. One is the firepower. Assault weapons, military-style weapons, and extended clips or magazines that carry a lot of bullets. That's one. The other is untreated, and in some cases undiagnosed, serious mental health issues. We need to go after both of these issues, and we need to do them in tandem. Ultimately, I imagine they'll get separated, but for me, they go hand in hand, and we have to do both.
Congressman Ron Barber joining us this morning. It's nice to talk to you, sir. It's nice to see you. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you very much.